That's a good thing. We're trying to start YouTube right now. Once the YouTube live stream is up and running, then we will get started. And we'll see what we can do. There we go. I'm going to go over to YouTube really quick. And got a couple of comments on YouTube. Someone pointed something out on an episode. I will offer kind of a correction and a clarification, and we'll do that in a different episode. So I want to thank them for taking the time to send that. Very helpful. All right, here we go. For kind of a correction and a clarification. I don't think we're going to get too many people tuning in at this hour of the morning, but some episodes, it just feels this is the right time to broadcast. And so this is one of those situations that this feels the right time to broadcast. So I'm going to do it. I am the only one broadcasting. That's one of the things I love about broadcasting at this time. But it just feels... Usually I'm the only one listening, or I'm not actually listening. I'm the only one present, all right? Because everyone else on Sermon Audio has gone to bed, all right? But sometimes my Canadian listeners will jump in. So we'll give it a couple of minutes and see if any Canadians are awake. We'll see. And maybe not. It may just be, sometimes when it's just me, myself, and I here, you know what? I'm going to take it. I'm going to do that. I'm not going to look at it as anybody's listening to me, I think. All right. Are you ready? Ladies and gentlemen, without any further delay, we go live in 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1.
Looking at our world from a theological perspective. This is the Theology Central Podcast, making theology central.
Good morning, everyone. It is Thursday, January the 22nd, 2026. It is currently 1:17 a.m. Central Time, and I'm coming to you live from the Theology Central studio, located right here in Abilene, Texas. 1:17 a.m. For basically the entire month of January, I have not slept very well, if I'm being honest with you. It's been a lot of long nights and long mornings, no sleep. If I do try to sleep, a lot of tossing and turning and just my mind moving, just running like a million miles per second. Just a lot of thoughts and emotions and just a lot of stuff, right? And it's not been good. It's led to some, seizure issues and things like that. So it's not been a great. It just hasn't been great. And a lot of times, what I can do when I just can't sleep is sometimes I will get up and listen to music. Sometimes I will do that. Sometimes I just spend a lot of time talking to myself. I know that sounds like I'm crazy, but hey, before I'm done, you're going to probably think I am. Just do a lot of, talking. And sometimes I'll come around here to this table and just work on podcast episodes. I could do this. I could do this. And sometimes I have got like 30, 40 ready to go. And probably, 39 of those, 38 of those you'll never hear ever. It's just, run in just my mind, just a million ideas. And it's just, just start working on things. Just start typing away and working on this and putting things together. And like, what about this and what about that? Coming up with ideas and who knows? Just a lot of things. But one of the things I also do sometimes when I cannot sleep, which again, look, and when I say I can't sleep, don't think of it, think of it as, it's a very bad thing. It's a very negative thing. The fact that I sometimes go so long without sleep, and it does lead to major problems with seizures and neurological issues. Okay. So I'm very aware of that, but at the same time, just know I hate sleep, and most of my entire life, I've never slept very well, ever. if it was up to me, I would never sleep. And so I can go very long periods of time with very, 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 very little sleep, no matter how much probably neurological damage it's doing to me. It's just, I hate sleep. I loathe it. I despise it. All right. So it's kind of normal, but it's been really bad lately. But what I'm trying to say is, in some ways it's normal. Some ways, obviously, right now it feels like I'm in a bad stretch. I don't have any easy solution for it. But out of all those things I typically do, sometimes one of the things I will do is I will go to where I have my television and I will walk in there, turn off all the lights, turn on the TV and watch a movie, or maybe 2 movies, or maybe 3 movies, or whatever the case may be. I don't do that all the time, but many cases I will. And the other, I don't remember what night it was, I watched a movie. And, well, we're going to be talking about that movie. And I'm just going to make this very clear right from the start so that no one says that they did not hear this. This is not a movie that I'm going to say is a great Christian movie. It is filled with explicit language. And honestly, it has a couple of scenes that's just very, very, very just kind of gross. Not in a moral way, just gross, right? And so, and it's extremely violent also in some scenes. So it's not a movie for everyone. I'm not going to tell you, hey, go watch this movie. I'm not going to tell you to do that. I'm just talking about my experience with it and all of the emotions and thoughts that has arisen from watching it. All right. I'm just going to do that. One of the reasons I'm doing this at 1 something in the morning as well. Once again, I can't sleep. I know I'm never going to sleep. Sooner or later, it'll just kill me and it won't matter. But I also know that if I'm going to talk about this movie, it's probably better to do it now than to do it live during the day where people could tune in and then get offended. I'm assuming if you're awake, most likely your kids are asleep. So, and if you are going to be offended about me talking about a movie that you may feel is inappropriate, then by all means, don't stop listening, okay? Don't listen and then say, oh, how dare you? I'm telling you now, don't, all right? So are we all on the same page? Or we have some kind of agreement? I hope so. Now, there are some movies you watch and you just forget about them in a week. Maybe even forget about them in a couple of days. They don't really have much of an impact on you. Oh, you may think that they were good. You may think they were funny. You may think they were exciting. You may think they were sad, but they don't really stick with you, right? Now, maybe for you, movies stick with you longer than me. Sometimes movies will stick with me for a long time and sometimes they don't, and I just kind of move on. And I think we've all had those kind of different experiences. But there are movies that you watch and they will not leave you alone. They stay with you. They stick with you. They talk to you. They may haunt you. They may bother you. And it has nothing to do in many cases that they are exciting or that they're fun. Sometimes these kinds of movies that really stick with you, and I like the word haunt you, will not leave you alone. They do this because they press on something that maybe already hurts. They touch something that you already feel. They poke at something that already bothers you. Now for me, again, just recently, don't know what time it was, 1 a.m, 2 a.m, 3 a.m, I don't know what time it was. I watched the movie The Long Walk. And when it was over, I definitely did not feel entertained. I definitely did not feel satisfaction in any way, shape, or form. And I didn't even feel like I necessarily enjoyed it. If you would have walked through the door when I was walking out of the room where the TV is and said, hey, what are you doing up at 3 a.m? Well, I just watched a movie. Oh, what was it? Oh, it was called The Long Walk. Oh, what did you think? Did you enjoy it? I would be like, no, I did not enjoy it. I I I need to talk, okay? And you would have been like, I'm sorry, I gotta go. I don't even know why I'm in your house at 3 a.m, but see, now you're here. So we're gonna talk, okay? If you're listening to me, we're gonna talk about it. If you don't want me to talk about it, then this is a good time for you to leave, all right? But I did talk about it. I did. I came right up to the studio and spent a lot of time just kind of pacing back and forth, talking to myself about the movie, The Long Walk. And what I felt, and I hope, I don't know if this is going to make any sense. What I felt wasn't entertainment, wasn't satisfaction, wasn't even like, oh, I've got some deep thought. I kind of felt the weight of my own life. All the years of my life. All the losses in my life. Death of my mother. Death of my father. Many cases, the death of my own relationships with my own brother or sister. I haven't spoken to my brother in years. And if I have, it's always something brief, like no relationship there. So no cousins and uncles or any of that stuff. None of that. I have nothing. I have no one. No, there's no one. Everyone's gone. And if anyone was around, I didn't have a relationship with them anyway. So I remember the years of my life. I remember the losses, all the disappointments, all the things in my life that did not turn out the way I thought they would. All of my failures and all of my mistakes. Sorry, hitting the microphone. All of my, I guess I felt the weight of every failure, of every mistake, of that pressure of, well, you've got to be perfect because if you make too many mistakes, we know what happens. You get kicked to the curb. I know how that works, right? My mother's lesson about be perfect or you're not loved. I remember all of the abuse, all of the nightmares of, I don't even have words to describe the things I experienced, the nightmares I experienced. Not like a go to sleep, have a nightmare. No, those living nightmares that I endured. So when it was all over, I felt the weight of my own life. I felt the years, the losses, the pain, the suffering, the abuse, the mistakes, the failure, the need to be perfect. Even though people say you don't need to be perfect, you do. You have to be perfect, right? Because they say you don't have to be perfect until you're not. and then you're done, right? I felt the weight of my own life. I guess I could say I felt, what's a good way of describing it? I felt the sheer tiredness of existing. Now, maybe, and I'm very, I always try to be analytical about things. When you haven't slept basically for 22 days, okay, very little sleep in 22 days, you start feeling the sheer tiredness of existing, which then has profound impact on your emotions. But when I was done with the movie, I felt the sheer tiredness of life. And I found myself thinking, why do I keep going? Why? Why take another step? And then I expanded it. Why do you? I don't know who you are. I don't know where you're listening. I don't know what you're going through. I don't know if you feel the sheer tiredness of existing. But why do you keep going? What keeps me walking? Why am I still walking? Life as a walk, as a race. We know that imagery just from the Bible, from a biblical perspective. The Christian life we understand as a race or as a walk. So why do I keep walking? And what is it that finally breaks people? What is it that finally just breaks people, destroys people, causes them just to say, I'm not going to take another step, and they just sit down? Because the movie, The Long Walk, I don't think it's really about a dystopian contest, even though that's in the movie. I think it's about being human and what it cost to keep moving forward. And that's what I want to talk about this morning. That's what I want to talk about. Right now, if I'm just being transparent with you, I feel the weight right now. I feel the tiredness of, oh boy, I started another episode. I'm 13 minutes in, and I hit the microphone with my hand. So now that's going to show up in the audio. Do I just now see I'm feeling the weight of just wanting to delete this because it's not perfect and everything has to be perfect. You've got to be perfect. Oh no, people say you don't have to be perfect. Yeah, I'm so sick and tired of being told you don't have to be perfect until you're not perfect and you, well, no. Yeah, so, yeah. But you know what? I'm going to keep walking. I'm going to keep moving forward. Why? I don't know. Well, let's do this. Let's talk about the movie. The Long Walk was released in 2025, and it's an adaptation of Stephen King's early novel. It was originally published under the name Richard Bachman, I think, Bachman, Bachman. The movie was directed by Francis Lawrence, who also directed several of the Hunger Game films, which makes sense because this is also a bleak, controlled, dystopian world focused on human endurance and suffering. And just like in the Hunger Games, you have the Hunger Games, you have a game. Well, here you have a contest as well. So there's great similarities between the concept and the story. Some may even say it's very much like the Hunger Games, but I didn't get caught up in some of the, maybe people say, well, there's too similar. So I didn't get caught up in that. For me, I felt the sheer tiredness of existing. I felt the weight of my own life. So for me, I was having kind of another experience than just a movie. You may watch the movie and go, oh, whatever. Something more was going on with me, which happens sometimes with some movies. Now, critically, the film was well received. Many of the reviewers praised its emotional weight, its refusal to turn into a simple action or survival movie, because it never really turned into that. And some praised it because it seemed committed to letting the story be slow, being uncomfortable, and being psychologically heavy, because it is slow. And it is uncomfortable. And I walked away feeling the psychological weight of it. I don't think the movie was ever meant to be a blockbuster crowd pleaser in any way, shape, or form. I don't think that's what it was supposed to be. I think it's the kind of movie that's supposed to stay with you, and it's not designed to excite you. And at least for me, that's exactly what it did. I took the long walk with the characters in the movie. And as I was taking the long walk with them, I saw my life. I felt the weight of my life. I felt the journey I have taken, the walk I have been on. That's where I ended up. Now, the premise is pretty simple and yet extremely cruel. A group of young men are selected for an annual event called The Long Walk. Now, here's the basic setup. They have to keep walking above a minimum speed. I think it's 3 miles per hour, if I remember correctly. If they slow down too much, if they stop, or if they fall behind, they receive a warning. And everyone's giving a number. Number 27, warning, warning. Right? You're giving because you slowed down below 3 miles, or you stopped to tie your shoe, or you decided to go back to check on someone, whatever the case may be. If you slow down, if you stop, if you fall behind, if you go the wrong direction, you're going to receive a warning. And after too many warnings, you are shot and killed on the spot. And if you leave the road, you are shot and killed on the spot. This long walk just keeps going and keeps going and keeps going and keeps going. There is no stopping. There is no pause. There are no breaks. There are no rest periods. You just keep walking and walking and walking until only one person remains alive. So everyone that starts to walk, by the time you end, everyone else, and I'm going to be blunt, gets a bullet in the head. It is cruel and it's violent as people slow down, get the warning, get it, and then they get shot. It is violent, brutal. It is, whoa, what is going on here? Now the winner receives enormous wealth for life. And one prize or wish, essentially anything he wants on top of all the wealth. He gets the wealth, but then he gets one wish, and it can be for anything, and he will get it. Or she. Well, actually, no, it's just young men. I don't think there's any women. No, there's no women in the walk. It's just all young men. So in a roundabout way, the wealth and the prize and the wish, it's kind of a temptation. Hope is used as fuel. Hey, you want to make it to the end because look at what you're going to get. Enormous wealth, your life will be changed and you can get one wish. I mean, that's the tip. Do you keep walking just because of this wonderful thing that's promised to you at the end? Hey, when you get to the end, it's all going to be worth it because you get everything you've ever wanted, you've ever needed, you ever dreamed of, you've ever hoped for, because the world is in a really bad place at this time. There is obviously poverty and things are not good. So this offers them hope. I mean, you want to get to the end so that you can get this. Now, as the walk continues, well, you can imagine what's going to happen in the movie. And the movie, listen, the whole movie is just them walking. That's the whole movie. The whole movie is just them walking. And it's the conversations happening during the walk. That's it. It's walk, walk, walk. People collapse. People break. People lose their minds. Friendships form. Then they get torn apart by exhaustion and by death. And one by one, the group is reduced. The whole movie is just them walking and walking. Once the walk starts, there's some scenes that happen at the beginning, but I mean, those things happen quickly and then boom, the walk starts and that's the entire movie. You just watch walking people. All you're doing is watching these people walk, having their conversations, slowly getting warnings, falling behind, and then dying, and then dying, and then dying, and then dying, and then dying. It is violent, it is cruel, and you may say it's completely twisted. And so if it's not a movie, I mean, it's not a movie for a lot of people, and the things that happen during the walk, and some of them are just extremely gross because, well, what do you do if people just keep walking and walking and walking, and there's nowhere you don't get a break. You don't get to leave the road. You don't get to stop and ask to go to the restroom or anything like that. So you can imagine how this can get very gross and just watching how this all unfolds. Now there's two main characters, really, that the story focuses on. Two main characters. Their relationship, their everything that takes place. Now, I don't want to give away the ending. I don't. I have it here in my notes, but I don't want to end. I will say the movie ends and there's no explanation. There's no speech. There's no clarity about whether anything really changed. So I'm not going to tell you how it ends, but yeah, You may appreciate the ending, you may hate the ending. I don't know. The ending left me with a lot of just like, well, okay, maybe some whys, but it was the overall just the walk that touched me so much, that impacted me. I will say that there's this one character in it, and I won't give away how he plays out in the ending. But he makes a statement, and that stuck with me a lot, is that he stated, I think more than once, or maybe just one time, and it was rather profound when he said it, is, hey, I've been walking my whole life. Like as they're struggling through this walk, he explains that he's been walking his whole life. So before he ever started this walk, the long walk, this competition, he's been walking his whole life, which is somewhat rather profound. Now, what is this movie really doing? What is the movie really doing? On the surface, it's a dystopian survival story on the surface, right? In the Hunger Games, you had the Hunger Games. Well, here you have the Long Walk. And this is about this, surviving this dystopian future, right? But for me, that's not what it feels like when you're watching it. What it feels like, at least for me, you're watching people being slowly worn down by existing. They're being slowly broken down. They're slowly just wearing out. They're just slowly falling apart. Now, you may want to say, oh, but they're trying to survive this contest. I think they're being broken down by the sheer weight of their existence, the sheer tiredness of living. See, the movie spends almost no time on strategy. I don't think anyone really has a strategy per se. It spends almost all of its time on fatigue, on fear, on memory, on pain, on regret, on hope, on anger, on hatred. And really, it shows the slow disintegration of the human spirit, not the triumph of the human spirit, but the disintegration of the human spirit. Now, we get a glimpse into their lives, not like major glimpses, but we hear about maybe their family or their past or their loss or their dreams. And we just get little glimpses. Sometimes they're not very exegeted, if we want to say that. They're not expounded upon, but we get little glimpses of some of the different people walking and what's going on with them, and we get a little glimpse into them. And I don't see that, hey, these people are being tested. I think we see that they're being used up. And I think this is where the movie hit me as I'm watching all of this. The structure of the story in some ways is life. You don't choose to be born. I didn't choose to be born. You didn't choose to be born. You're just put into motion, right? You didn't choose. You didn't choose life, right? You didn't choose it. Life chose you, and it says, you're just born. And then a smack, and then the next thing you know, you're set into motion. And you're told, keep going. You're told to keep going. No matter how painful it is, no matter how horrible it is, you're told to keep going. Doesn't matter how much abuse, doesn't matter how much torture, doesn't matter how depressed, doesn't matter how discouraged, you're supposed to keep going because that's what we're supposed to do in life. And we're supposed to get to the finish line. It's the long walk. Welcome to it. Now, for us in life, there's no choice. We didn't. And of course, well, in the movie, there's kind of this discussion. Well, did they choose to be there, or did anyone ever not choose to be there? Did they have any choice but to choose there? Because the way life is, they're just kind of put there. You can watch that kind of be expounded upon in the movie. But to me, whether the movie shows that they chose there or not chose to be there, to me, look, nobody chooses life, and you're set in motion, and you're like, keep walking, 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 keep walking. You have to keep going. And you don't know how long it's going to last. You don't know. Just like the people in the movie on the long walk, they don't know when the walk is going to end. 10 miles, 20 miles, 30 miles, 40 miles, 50 miles, 100 miles. I can't remember how many total miles they go. It's insanity. It's crazy. But you're going to keep going until the very end. And that's how life. Yeah, I don't know when the long walk is going to end for me. I don't know. Do I make it to January the 23rd? Who knows? I mean, it's 1:45 a.m. and the next 15 minutes I could have a seizure and be dead. I don't know when it's going to end, and neither do you. We don't know when it's going to end. And we don't know how it's going to end. Is it going to end gloriously? Is it going to end horrifically? Are you going to end contented with life? Are you going to end happy? Are you going to end up alone, broken, bitter? And everyone around us is on the same long walk, and they're all struggling just to stay upright and just to keep moving forward. Some may be doing really well, and they got a little skip in their step, and they're like, I got this. I got this. Gonna keep going. Gonna keep going. Others struggling even to take the next step. And that's what you see in the movie. And just like in the movie, everyone's carrying something. Everyone in the movie's carrying something. They've all got a story. They've all got things they're carrying with them, right? Emotional, mental. And now some of those things may help them keep going for a while. Some of those things may be the thing that's driving them, that's motivating them, that's keeping them going. Because whatever it is, it's fuel to their engine. And some of those things they're carrying slowly destroys them and tears them apart. And you may not understand what their issue is. You may not understand what their problem is, but you find out that there's something deeper going on. And for some, the thing, the story, whatever has gone on in their life, it's moving them forward. And for others, you can see that it's slowly, they're unraveling right before your very eyes as you watch the long walk. And I think around in a roundabout way, the movie keeps asking the same question in kind of a quiet way. How long can a human being keep walking? How long? How long can I keep walking? Now, I know the expectation is we're all going to make it to the end. We're all going to make it to the end. Nobody can just take an easy way out. Nobody is supposed to kill themselves. No. You make it to the end. You make it to the end. But even if you make it to the end and an acceptable exit plan, whatever the acceptable exit plan is, right? However you die, do you really make it to the end? Because maybe you stopped 15 miles back. You may make it to the end physically, but maybe emotionally, mentally, spiritually, you stopped walking 25 years ago. So how long can a human keep walking? How long? Why do we keep walking? What breaks people? I think the movie's answer is kind of brutally honest. I think that the movie, The Long Walk, is like, it's not one big tragedy that typically breaks us. Because I think sometimes we can survive that one big tragedy, maybe even two big tragedies, maybe three big tragedies. But I think ultimately what breaks us is time, weariness, accumulated disappointment, a loss of meaning, a loss of hope, a loss of connection, a loss of self, a loss of love, loneliness, emptiness, nothingness, meaninglessness, guilt, failure, shame, pain, the idea that you have to be perfect. It's not that people necessarily shatter. People just slowly erode. They slowly disintegrate. Oh, I'm not saying shattering never occurs, because that clearly happens. But even many cases when the shattering occurs, it may be an accumulation. It may be one event where you say, oh, they shattered. But sometimes it can be a long, it's been a long eroding process. And finally, one last thing makes everything fall apart. And I think eventually some sit down. Some give up. Some simply can't. Some can't make themselves take another step. And the movie, I don't think ever moralizes that. I think the movie never says, hey, they were weak. They didn't try hard enough. They had the wrong mindset. I think the movie may say something that's kind of, in a way, terrifying, but true. Maybe the reality is that human beings do not all have the same capacity to endure the same weight. I don't think all human beings have the same capacity to endure the same weight. I don't think it says, well, one is stronger. I think it's just, we're made different ways, and some things break us, and some people's life, just the weight keeps getting piled on and on and on. And it's like they can never escape. It's like their life is just going from one weight station to another weight station, not to just to check the weight. It's to put more weight on. From abuse, abandonment, this horrible ideas pounded into your head as a child. And then later on, some of those horrible ideas pounded into your head as a child is reinforced by what happens to you and by other people's actions. Even though they would try to say that they don't believe in those ideas, they just reinforce it by what they do and how they treat you. So, in the movie, all the people that start, everyone's dead until one remains. And why did he make it? Why him? I don't know if the movie gives us an heroic answer. I don't know if the movie's like, well, he's the strongest, he's the smartest, or he's the best, or he's more positive. I mean, he does seem to be more positive. He does kind of talk about his past maybe in a way that seems to give him momentum. But I don't think it's his pain made him stronger. I think his pain had already shaped him into someone who could endure more pain. And I don't think that's inspirational. That's tragic. Sometimes we try to make that an inspirational thing. Well, look, pain will break you or it will make you stronger. And suffering builds us up so that we can move. Stop it. That is some twisted stuff. Oh, look at how inspirational it is. That person has suffered so much that they can endure more suffering. There's nothing heroic about that. That's tragic. That's horrifying. Well, this person made, and he's he's a character in the movie that says, "I've been walking my whole life. I've been walking my whole life." The idea is my pain, my suffering, I've already been walking. This is it's just a continuation of the walk, even though it's in this contested, horrible set of circumstances. Well, hey, if you get too many warnings, you get shot in the head, and everyone's going to die until one person lives. Well, I think it's somewhat powerful to say, well, I've already been walking. I've already been going through this. But I don't think that's like, well, see, suffering prepares you for more suffering is a positive thing. I think it's tragic. To me, that's not healing. That's adapting to damage. That's adapting to pain. That's adapting to suffering. It's like scar tissue. Well, look at how much scar tissue I have. Well, I can take a little bit more. Oh, I got some more. Come on, keep hitting me with it. I can take it. Is that power? I don't see that. I see that that's tragic. I don't see that that's a great thing. Well, I've endured this much, so I can take a little bit more. Now, sometimes you talk that way, right? I can look at the things that happened to me. I can look at the horrible things. And when something happens, I'm like, well, my mom prepared me for it. She told me, you got to be perfect. If you're not perfect, you're not going to be loved. And I could get, and in life, you find out, well, you're right. Made too many mistakes. I get thrown to the curb, right? You can be like, well, I'm prepared for it. But is that a good thing that you're prepared for that? See, I don't think look, life prepared me to suffer more. I don't see that as a inspirational story. I know some people like to make that an inspirational story. I don't see it. I see it as tragic. I see it as, well, great. I got more scar tissue so I can endure more scars. It's kind of like, well, the other people didn't make it because, well, they didn't suffer enough. If they would have suffered a little bit more in their life, they could have been able to endure more suffering. I don't know. And that let suffering make you strong message. I hate that kind of reading of any kind of story. I think it's shallow. I think it's cruel. I don't think it matches reality. I don't think suffering builds most people. I think it warps them. It exhausts them. It diminishes them. It destroys them. Sometimes maybe it does produce some kind of resilience or some kind of perseverance. But often that resilience is just another shape of brokenness. What we call, oh, look how resilient that person is. It may be just, look at how broken that person is. I'm not going to tell you again what happens at the end. The movie at the end, maybe it's this, or maybe it's this, or maybe it's this. I don't think the movie really gives us a great explanation to what happens. And I love that in many cases because life doesn't give us any explanation. I guess what stayed with me when the movie was finally over wasn't the violence. It was I recognized myself in the walking. That's what I took away. And I recognized all of us. All of us are on the long walk. And we have to keep going. You're not supposed to stop. And if you fall behind, there's going to be some kind of warning giving in life. Get your stuff together. Come on. You don't do that. You just got to move forward. You got to move forward. And sometimes it can be the very people who are causing the pain. You just need to, come on. Don't just keep moving forward. Just keep moving forward. Don't do that. Oh, whatever. Just stop. Okay. Sometimes you want to tell people, you know what? I'm sitting down and I don't care what you think. Okay. I don't care if they're walking up to me. I'm going to put a bullet in my head. Just leave me alone. Okay. Okay, just leave me alone. I don't need your, well, you shouldn't do that. Don't think that way. You think about all the, just stop. Just leave me alone. Just leave me alone. I'm going to sit here and just get shot and be happy with it, okay? So I recognize myself in the walking. That's what impacted me so much in this. The years, the effort, the endurance, the failure, the fatigue, more failure, the consequences of failure. Got to be perfect. Oh, no, you don't have to be perfect. Yeah, you do. Like, I just, so much of life. Loneliness, emptiness. Don't have this, don't have that. Just so many aspects of life. And then I kind of again, and maybe because I watched it at 2, 3 in the morning, I found myself as I'm sitting here at 2 o'clock in the morning. What am I still carrying? What am I still carrying inside of me and with me? What has kept me moving? What is it? What could be it that makes me finally say, that's it, I'm done? What could make me just stop? Do you go out groveling and begging and pleading that you don't end that way? Or do you just resolve to yourself, no, this is the way it's going to end? There's a lot of different ways people go out in the movie. Again, to me, it all pictures life in so many ways. I don't think the movie The Long Walk necessarily is, I don't think it's a movie with a message. I think it's a movie with a mirror. Now, some will see political elements to it, a dystopian future, authoritative government. Like they may see some parallels from a political standpoint, but I didn't see the politics. I saw a mirror. And I don't think it tells me what to think. I think in a roundabout way, the movie says, here's the cost to exist. And maybe that's the most honest thing it says. Hey, some people don't make it. Maybe the most honest thing it says is some people don't make it because they're worse. And some people make it longer, or maybe, I'm trying to think of the right way to say this. Maybe the most honest thing it says is this, that some people don't make it because they're worse, and some people make it longer not because they're better. I think maybe it says some people make it because they're already shaped in a way that lets them endure more damage. I think maybe that's what it's saying. It's not saying, hey, some people don't make it. They don't make it because they're worse, or these people make it. These people don't make it necessarily longer because they're better. I think in a roundabout way, it's kind of saying the people who seem to make it longer are the people who are shaped in a way that lets them endure more damage. They're already damaged. These people are already so damaged that they can make it longer because they can endure more damage because of all the damage they've already endured. But I don't know. A lot of people in that movie seem very damaged. Maybe that's the thing. Some people's damage, they keep going, and their damage, the way they are made, that damage gives them the ability to endure more damage, where other people endure damage and it doesn't give them the ability to endure more damage. It literally breaks them. But either way, it's not victory. It's simply continuing. Life is a long walk. That's a fact. And every single one of us is worn down by it in some way, shape, or form. Some are worn down by it more than others. Some are worn down by it in a far less way. But everyone's being worn down by it. Now, I wish I could say, hey, here's the answer. Get Jesus, and it'll be great. What Jesus gives us is the promise that when we get to the end, well, then we get eternal life. And we get, in a sense, the wish. We get all of that promise when we get to the end. But in this life, I know you can say, well, he's going to do this, and he's going to do this, and he's going to do this, and he's going to do this. But the reality is, no matter what Christians claim, the reality is we're still sinners. We're going to still fail. We're still going to make mistakes. We're still going to mess up. The fact is, if he's giving us power, well, then we should have, I don't know, the power to be perfect, and we can't even do that. So I'm going to question that whole power thing. The thing is, we walk, we suffer, we endure. And maybe Christianity says, well, maybe Christianity is there just to say, you can't stop. You got to keep going. 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 Maybe it tries to give you a reason to keep going. Keep going because you're doing it for God's glory, but keep going. Maybe it tries to give you a reason. Maybe it gives you hope that at the end, you're going to get to the end and you're going to get the prize. Maybe Christianity will offer some of that, but as far as what life does to you, you're still going to be worn down by it. No matter if you wrap it up in spiritual language and try to make it all positive, you can still feel loneliness. You can still feel abandonment. You can still feel that, oh, you got to be perfect. You still feel all of the pain and suffering in life. I know the church likes to negate that, but the reality is Christianity does not take away that in any way, shape, or form. The long walk. (2025), it's an hour and 48 minutes long. It's brutal. It's not pleasant. It's violent. It's explicit. It's gross. But it's a mirror of life. And I sometimes don't know why I'm walking another step. I don't. But we just keep walking, right? Right? I know you can say, well, you're going to keep walking because it's all going to be worth it in the end. Oh, you could say, that sounds like the movie, The Long Walk, right? Keep walking and you'll get all of those riches at the end. I don't know. Is that the motivation to keep walking? I mean, from a Christian perspective, see, this is where it gets very convoluted. Well, if I stop walking right now, I'm still getting the riches in the end, right? Now, that's why Christians say, no. If you were to end it, you will not, because of that. Suicide is the unpardonable sin and you'll go to hell. Well, wait a minute. So now I can go to hell because of a sin? I thought Jesus paid for all my sins. Okay, wait a minute. I thought the eternal security of well, if you're truly a believer, you'll never do this. Oh, so once again, we're going to start playing that game. If you're truly a believer, you'll never do this and you never do this, meaning you're saved by not doing this or not doing this. I thought I was saved by what Jesus did, not by what I do or don't do. Okay, all right. You see, that becomes crazy. We could get into that all day long, and the theology there falls all apart. I think why we keep going, and I almost want to ask this question. It's kind of dark, but I'm going to ask it. I think sometimes we keep going, not because we want to keep going, not because we desire to keep going, not even for some great noble theological reason. I think sometimes we keep going because we feel responsible and obligation for people around us. And we know that if we stop, it's going to impact them. But if you remove everyone and it's just you yourself alone. Sometimes we love to say, Jesus is all we need, right? It's usually people who have a whole lot of things that tell you that Jesus is all that you need, you know. Hey, you may be alone and you have no this, you have no that, but hey, Jesus is all you need. You're like, well, isn't it interesting that you have people, you have intimacy, you have all of this, but you're telling me Jesus, okay, never mind, right? So, but I think it's the same thing is if you don't have anyone, do you keep going? You say, well, you do it for Jesus. Again, it's everyone says Jesus is all you need, but it's very different when Jesus is all you have. Well, I watched the movie The Long Walk. I don't know if I've captured it. I don't know if I've been able to talk about it. I know it's raised a lot of philosophical and theological and emotional issues. And it's one of those movies that stayed with me. And again, because I feel the sheer exhaustion of existing. And sometimes you're like, why am I going to take another step? And I think everyone in life and every religion in life and every philosophy in life tries to give you a reason to take another step. Everyone has a reason they keep going. Whether it's atheist, whether it's agnostic, whether it's Buddhist, everyone does. Everyone has a reason to take that next step. But life erodes you and breaks you down until, like in the movie, in some of those cases, you just sit down in the middle of the road. All right. These are my very happy, uplifting thoughts at 2:11 a.m. Central Time. This is what happens when there's a microphone in your house. Have you seen the movie? If you did, what did you think? Were you impacted with it, or did you think it was stupid? And forget the movie. Life is a long walk. What keeps you moving? And what can be the thing that breaks you, that makes you want to stop? God bless.